So let's talk burners, right, and primarily spirit burners, because the three systems I'm going to show you today are all spirit burners. They're designed to be used with methylated spirits, denatured alcohol and so forth. Okay, so all three of these systems are going to require liquid fuel. That liquid fuel being either alcohol based or spirit based. So this one, these two systems I like. This system was bought from Temu, and if you see this, don't be tricked into buying it. Don't buy it. Okay, it's dangerous. It's shoddily built. I mean, it is rubbish metals. This is your burn pot. This is supposed to be a snuffer. It's pants. The state of the rivet work is atrocious. The gauge of the metal is well, poor. The actual base isn't too bad. I could probably use that base using something like that in there, that way, or using the Trangier stove from in there. But this is dangerous, and I'm going to lift it out that way to demonstrate why I think this is dangerous, why I think you should avoid it at all costs, and I would never recommend somebody to own something like this. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, I've taken the tray out to demonstrate it. Oh, and by the way, you could never refit this tray into this cooker like this. Part of the base isn't too bad, but the rest of it is pants, and so you could never fit that fuel. Doesn't even fit that well. It's, yeah, it's rubbish. Right, let's put some spirit in it. I'm using methylated spirits today. Way more than I've ever put into any of my other stoves. That's it. Bottom. Now, the actual pot support, I don't think it's too bad. Bit on the small side, but I don't think it's too bad. Now, that's going to burn there. The question we had, being very careful not to spill things, can I now snuff that using the snuffer? Nope, it doesn't snuff it, and then it jams and you can't open it safely. So that's, personally I think that's dangerous. As a concept, it's okay. As practical use, definitely not. Definitely not. And what I'm going to have to do now is allow that to burn itself out, because there is no safe way of really faffing about with it. So what I might as well do, fill my pot. Oh, we're starting to hit an issue there. It's obviously designed for a larger pot, really. So we'll get that brew on. Right, we'll let that burn itself out. and then we'll make a coffee, and then we'll talk about what I think are your practical options for stoves. And again, it's not what I would call camp set. It's too big, it's too bulky, it doesn't fold down, doesn't collapse. Does it have a place? No, not in my kit. Like I say, it's too poorly constructed. The theory's there, if it had been built to a higher standard, then yeah, I could see it working. Would I use it as a backup at home for an emergency? No. Again, it's just that open pot. It doesn't seal. There's no way of capturing the spirit. If it gets knocked over, that's half a cup of methylated spirits running wherever, willy-nilly, and it's going to be lit, and it will just spread and burn. If you're going to go to a spirit stove, a carbon fibre stove like that has less spill risk, and even the Trangier stove, which we'll get out in a minute in the BCB cook set, has a smaller spill risk. It has a spill risk, they all do, but it's less, and then you've got to try and mitigate these things as much as possible. You know, I can't see anywhere at all I would happily, safely have that, and the only reason I'm doing it out here today is to try and stop anybody else from getting it, and also the fact that I've got fire safety equipment here, so if I did have a spill, I'm on top of it. So there, we've lit that burn out. Okay, so there, we've lit that burn out. Now, my dear old mum, clever lady that she is, she always used to say to me when I was a kid, don't give people problems without giving them answers. Okay, so this thing is a piece of junk. Okay, that's what I think of that. There's no use for it. So I'll give you an answer. What could you use? So if you're on a tight budget, and there's many types out there, okay, one of these little folding stoves. Now this one's by Lixada. You can find this on Amazon, okay, for the same sort of money as you could have bought that. There are many other makes, designs out there. It comes as a flat pack, so basically that's it. Okay, it's nice and small, it's light, stainless steel, not titanium. So there are two ways of using, or three ways of using this little stove. Okay, and there is a way of putting them together, and that's where most people, well, where people come unstuck with these when they start out, is they're bloody horrible. They're not too bad. So take your entrance, okay, that's your opening. Take your opening, put your opening at the back, and it just slots together like that. Okay, rotate it around. That one's going there. So what we'll do with this, we will start with the dragon gel. Okay, so dragon gel, you get a bowl for that, and you'll notice that there is slots in the top. Okay, and then what you do is you take your back one, and this is where it gets fiddly. It's always putting this last one on that's the fiddly bit. You have to have a little bit of faith, twisting the metal, a little bit of a wriggle. There we go. So that's now together, and what that means now, we've got a nice little box stove that stands on its own. There we go. Nice little box stove. It's freestanding, stands on its own. Okay, it's quite sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, it is open topped. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to take a bit of dragon gel. So this works with dragon. It's the first time I've lit this one, but looking at it and using similar things in the past, I'm quite confident that it's going to work. And this is the bottled dragon gel. Okay, great for use at home in these sort of situations, or if you've got a camper, you're taking a cook set out with you. So let's get this fired up. That's lit. Let's change up the pot system to an improvised homemade pot system. And again, okay, so the reason this is so much safer than that last one is, yes, you can spill the gel, yes, you see it, but this doesn't lie to you. This says, handle me carefully, handle me sensibly. Okay, if you don't, then there's going to be a problem. This monstrosity has just too many moving parts. I mean, it's just, it's junk, right? It really is junk. So that's a little push box, and that's the first way of using it. So like I say, the dragon gel in there, you can see it's working quite nicely. That will boil my water more than adequately. I've got a little bail line on there, and this is just an improvised pot, stainless steel. I think it was a sugar set, or sugar tea and coffee set, with the pound shop. Some more water. Try the other methods. Dragon gel, I only put a little bit of dragon gel in there just to try it out. That's nearly burnt out. And then obviously we're going to have to let this cool. Right, and for the next two methods, you're going to need the little tray that comes with it. So, again, what we look at is that little tray. Little tray slots in the bottom. Little stove slots together like that. So your little tray goes in the bottom, all slots in. It's quite sturdy, firm, ain't going to go anywhere in a hurry. So now what you can use with this is you can use a meth stove. So place your meth stove inside. They've got a little drop of meths in there, not a huge amount. Meth stove goes in, water goes on the top, and away goes your meth stove. Now, and that's going to do exactly the same job for you. The beauty of the meth stove is in the fact that they're quite clean, don't give off a lot of soot, they don't give off a huge amount of light because they burn with a naked flame. There's a little bit of a smell with it, but it's methylated spirits, it's not that unpleasant. Okay, and they're quite efficient. Now in cold weather they can be a swine to light, but once you get them going they're not a problem. You can get a gel for Arctic conditions which you put around the top, ignite that. Pretty much it's like a Vaseline base, and what that does, that warms the pot up, causes the spirit to start vaporising. So again, this is the sort of stove I would suggest you look at or invest in if you're just starting out and you're looking at spirit burners. And I say spirit burners because that's what that horrible thing was marketed at. And okay, and I've used spirit burners all over the place for donkey's years, of many different types, varieties and systems, and I like them. There are some people get a bit worried by them, but it's, as with a lot of things, it's down to using it, learning about it, getting confidence with it. They are a good system, and you start with, say, methylated spirit stove like this, but you can use denatured alcohol on it, you can use anything that's a spirit base, and bear in mind you're going to be carrying flammable liquids, so you do want to carry it in a bottle that's clearly marked flammable and not a hip flask like I normally do. However, the hip flask is clearly labelled and marked up as methylated spirit and poison. I use that on a small go-to kit. And you see, once the stove's bloomed, it is quite efficient. You do get quite a good flame off of it. And they're relatively fuel efficient as well. So that's using a meth stove on a little folding box stove. Now, there's an opening on the front of that box stove, as you can see. So in this mode, with the methylated spirit stove out, you could also use it as a twig stove. Okay, you can also burn hexamine on there. So it's multi-fuel, multi-uses just from this little box, and this little box stove that packs away to almost nothing. Okay, now I'm not going to give any prices, because every time I give prices they fluctuate all over the place. What I will say to you, it's a Lixada stove, folding stove, and it was on Amazon. Okay, now the detractors to these stoves will say to you, oh, it will distort. Okay, it will bend, it will distort with the heat. It does, but it's stainless steel. Stainless steel has a lot of memory, so basically it will get a little bit of a bend in it whilst it's hot, but you'll find that once you've actually allowed it to cool down, it will usually regain its shape. And even if it doesn't, it's only a thin piece of metal. It doesn't take a lot to put it back into place. Right, that looks like my coffee's on the way. Woohoo! Let's grab a cup. Another important bit of kit to always have with you if you're playing with fire, have gloves. Right, and make sure that they're leather gloves. They're not faux leather, they're not plastic or anything like that. They are proper leather gloves, because yeah, it's only leather that's going to give you a little bit of protection, and it is only a little bit of protection. If you're stupid or you're careless, yeah, even a pair of welder's gauntlets will transmit heat through them. One coffee, one improvised pot, one stove, and so take snuffing ring, pair of gloves, place that over the fire or over the cook set, and that will snuff it out, stores it with oxygen. Okay, puts it out, allow it to cool. It's the golden rule. Allow the whole thing to cool down, don't try and move it. Bear in mind you've got a liquid in there that's extremely hot. You've got a brass stove that's extremely hot. Brass holds heat nicely, and you've got the stainless steel top here that's also holding heat. So you've got three hot things all in one. But just let it cool. You've got to move it to the base, and move it very carefully. Right. So there's that stove, and like I say, that entrance there, that point there, you've got a little tiny twig stove. It is a tiny twig stove. I wouldn't expect huge amounts from it, but if you were just making a drink on the go, on the travel, it'll probably do the job for you. And if with a little bit of effort, thought, and sense behind it, you could probably cook a meal on it. Okay, might take a little while, but you could do it. So that's a Lixada stove. And on top of that, the last stove set, so that's the cookers. So what we'll do, we'll look at the cookers. Put the stove to one side. So spirit stoves, okay, there's two main spirit stoves that I use. One is what we call the Trangier style, which was made famous by Trangier. That is a Trangier itself, but there are lots of copies. Now if you're buying one of these, and this is important, it's essential, make sure that it has both lids. You want firstly a screw-on lid that goes over the fuel pot. The fuel pot has always got fuel in it, okay, or it's usually got fuel in it, so you want a screw-on lid with a seal, okay. Never put this lid on that. When that's hot, you damage the seal and it will leak in your bag, okay. So that's your transport mode. The other thing that you want to see with it is one of these, and this is a simmer ring, okay. So the idea of the simmer ring is if you need to slow down your cooking process, you can half the flame, quarter the flame, and if you need to put it out, you can snuff it, okay. Never use this lid to snuff it, okay, or your little rubber ring comes away. So again, when this is lit, just on like that, that's right. We'll give a demo of that. So hopefully you can see that that's lit. In fact, just to give a bit of smoke with any luck, you get a leaf in there or something. Yeah, like that's. So you can see that's lit. The snuffer ring goes on, and it's out. Simple as that. Allow that to cool down, and then you can place that lid on it. The other type I use is an improvised spirit burner, which is easy enough to knock up yourself. So you small metal tin with carbon felt inside it, and on this little stove what you do is you put a drop of meth onto your carbon felt. That soaks into the carbon felt. Carbon felt doesn't burn itself, it's got a heat resistance. And you light like that. Now that gives you a cooker, gives you quite a large flame, quite a large open flame. You could probably fit that inside there if you wished, okay, and then use that as a stove, use that as the cooker, and that as your stove. That's your heat source. The other nice thing with that tin, using it that way, is again you've got a lid, so what you can do is you can snuff it. That ability to snuff it out, that's quite important to me. I don't always want to sit there waiting like I did with that Chinese thing for 20 minutes for the fuel to burn off. One, it's a waste of fuel, and two, it's a pain in the arse. But by having a lid that fits reasonably well, you can snuff it out, okay, and then snuffing it out, go to do something else, you might come back 5 minutes later, want to put something else on, you can then relight it as you need to, and that will work all the time. There's spirit in there obviously, and it can vapor off. When it gets to the point that you're out of spirits, it will go out. Right, now once it goes out, you do need to wait for it to make sure it's cool, because one of the downsides of carbon felt, I'll show you, is you can get embers around the sides. It can get very, very hot. Cools very quickly, so you want to make sure that that's out and that's cool. So there you go, spirit stoves. a horrible Chinese, oh, I say Chinese, I don't know who made it, a horrible, nasty, dangerous system that's been marketed out there. 2 practical, sensible systems. A thing to cook on, a cooker, and let's get this right. Burner. Those are burners. That's the stove. Okay, so your burner goes into a stove, or your fire goes into a stove. By Luxardo. Okay, spirit burner is improvised, made by myself. Carbon felt you can buy on Amazon. You can probably buy these tins on Amazon. Okay, Trangier stove. Yeah, go to Trangier for those. They do have an Amazon shop, or there are a lot of other copies. But like I said, and I'll reiterate it again, if you're buying one of these and it's a copy, make sure that it has a screw lid with a seal, and ideally a simmer ring, because otherwise you're going to be waiting for ages for the thing to go out when you're finished making your tea, your coffee, and you're just going to waste fuel. This way, that's still got half a tin of fuel in it. That's sealed back up. I can throw that in my bag and onward with the adventure. In actual fact, let's think about it realistically. Right, that's the bag that the Luxardo came in. Little Velcro bag. So my stove all packs away in there. The little pot packs away in there. And if I wanted to, my little spirit burner tin packs away in there. There you go, cook system all in that. Trangier works well with the BCB. It's a stove for the BCB cook system. You've all seen this on my channel before. There's a BCB, so the stove goes in there. That goes over. Pot system goes on there, obviously with the handles unfolded. There's a cook system, and when it's not a cook system, okay, there's your cook system. Right, that's in cook mode, and then you go into transport mode. And in transport mode, I like to use one of these elastics, which is drop down there, drops over the back, holds the lid in place. There you go. A litre of water, cooker, stove, everything all in one. That then lives in a bag, and in that bag, brews. And even the cup goes on the top of the water bottle, so that makes a nice little cook system. I can get 24-hour ration pack, the main meals in there, plus the drinks that I want to carry, and that all goes in one bag like that and makes a sustenance bag. Okay, that is literally my cooker, a litre of water, the food I need for 24 to 48 hours, and drinks all in one in a single bag that I can carry over my shoulder. Nice. That nice little cooker all in the bag. Luxardo. There you go. Mickey's waffling now. Sorry about Mickey waffling. Right, so we'll go get this edited and see how that goes. Yeah.
Hello guys, so that's that video for this week. Now, I'm sorry about the video being a bit long-winded. Actually, this was filmed last week on an extremely hot day. Unfortunately, this week I'm away, so I made that a few days ago, purely and simply so that you'd have something to watch this week. Now, so that little kit, that little thin kit there, was cheap and cheerful. It's made by Luxardo. Okay, you can find them on Amazon, and like I say, I'm not going to give a price purely and simply because every time I give a price, they vary. But it is cheap. It's very affordable. It's a nice little system. There we go, Luxardo. Okay, it is stainless steel, and as I was saying, they do distort. Okay, when they're hot. But because it's stainless steel and it has a memory, when it cools, it does come back flat. So yeah, great little bit of kit. And if you're putting together a prepper, an emergency kit, a backup kit, a survival kit, something that packs away that small, okay, that small, you can go in the back of your pack and you can almost forget about it. If you back it up with a spirit burner, okay, a little improvised spirit burner like that, you're laughing, okay. Or if you want to go dragon gel, you can go that way. It's also got the backup that you can use it as a stick stove. And when we get to the autumn and the conditions are right for it, I'll probably take it up into the woods and do a video with it. But yeah, I like that. I like it. It's small, simple. It could even go in your kit. If you've got to say you carry a gas cooker, you could also carry that and just a couple of fuel gel tabs as a backup. It takes no space. There's not a lot of weight to it. So as a backup kit, or thrown in the car, or put into your bug out bag, your inch bag, whatever you want, as a backup system to your main kit. Yeah, it's absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. And Lixada make a whole range of these of different sizes and different types. Okay, and I've actually ordered, I'm waiting for it to come in at the moment, a couple of their other systems, including one with its own meth stove. So we will come back to that at a later date and we'll do a comparison. Lixada kit on whole, I do like. I can say that they're most of their gear that I've bought over the years has worked well, be it gasifier stoves, where it be little bush boxes and so on. So I do like them as a brand. They are very, very good, very efficient. Anyhow, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it hasn't been too long. Yeah, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that stuff, and have a great week wherever you are. Normal review, and we'll resume next week. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Love those you do, forgive those you don't, and as always, peace and light be upon you all. Till next time, my friends, have an awesome week. Mickey out.